inflation. And I'm sure you're familiar with the fact that the M2 money supply has gone up very dramatically. You're familiar with the Federal Reserve holdings and trillions of dollars of debt, the very dramatic increase on your balance sheet. I know you're aware of this because you were there. And the money in circulation. And this comports with, again, going back to chapter 9 of Milton Friedman's book, and he goes in and talks about the inflation that took place in the 1970s, and he has a series of charts showing the supply of money. So here's the United States, and he goes on and shows the supply of money in Germany and Japan, and the increase in prices, and then also the United Kingdom and Brazil. And so all of this is going to a very central point that when you increase money, and actually let me quote Mr. Friedman here for a second. When the quantity of money increases more rapidly than the quantity of goods and services available for purchase, we have inflation. You have printed too much money, sir, and that money has created inflation. To stop the inflation, I would recommend to you to stop printing the money. You indicated yesterday that you're going to start to slow down the printing money. I think you should stop it, and stop it right now. Inflation is on the minds of Americans. Poll after poll for the last many months, 70-80% of Americans, it's a top issue for them. They're concerned about inflation. Inflation is eating away their purchasing power. It is actually robbing them of the increases in wages that we've seen because their purchasing power is down because of the inflation that's created by the money that's being printed. Would you like to respond to that?
Sure. So price stability is one of our two goals, the other being maximum employment. We have to balance those two goals when they're in tension as they are right now, but I assure you we will use our tools to make sure that this high inflation we're experiencing does not become entrenched. If I may also add, though, the connection between monetary aggregates and either growth or inflation was very strong for a long, long time, which ended about 40 years ago. So the so-called velocity of money became quite variable. And so now we think more of just the imbalance between supply and demand in the real economy rather than monetary aggregates, which isn't to say that that was wrong when written. I think it was probably correct when it was written, but it's been a different economy and a different financial system for some time. Nonetheless, your point on inflation, well,
of deficit spending create inflation.
It did boost demand, and that is one of several factors that are involved in inflation. But absent the pandemic and the supply chain problems we've had and the negative impact the pandemic has had on the supply of labor.
What's interesting to me, Secretary Yellen, if I could just to finish here, what's interesting is that Milton Friedman wrote in 1979, no government is going to accept responsibility for producing inflation. And you, ma'am, have just embodied that denial because your deficit spending is creating the inflation that Americans need relief from now.
All right, Shalom. This is Ahara One by Yasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. I want to say, Call Halayim, La Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh by Hashem, Harakah Kodash, Ma'amath. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and their elders. And Shalom to you, Aki and Menakwati, and my children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. Yeah, man, you see, they're talking about hyperinflation now, you know. So they said that's on all the Americans' minds, right? But before, you know, these people didn't have that on their mind. Now, they thought everything was cheap. You had Walmart hitting everybody with something called everyday low prices. You know, you had the Obamacare plan. Remember that? The Obama phones and everybody you talk to try to teach them about the scriptures. What they say, man, yo, I just got to get this bread. I'm just trying to work, get this money, right? Because that's because they were hyperinflating the dollar. They were printing money out of thin air, and there were more dollars to go around, all right? But the thing is, even though they're creating more dollars, those dollars aren't being spent on homes, on buildings, you know, on businesses. What is being spent on is debt, or it's being saved up and stored. All right. Or they spending it on, they call it a nation of consumers. Just like Black Friday, you see everybody just spending, especially on their holidays, just spending, creating more debt. The more dollars they spend, the more debt is created. All right. So they got the debt. American debt is at like, let me see what it's at real quick. All right, I'm looking at the national debt clock, and it says $29 trillion. That's what it's at, man. Compared, so the U.S. national debt is at $29 trillion. And the U.S. gross domestic product, how much America is selling, to the other nations, that creates an economy. How much you owe compared to how much you're spending or how much you're taking in, or selling. All right, how much you're spending versus how much you're selling. And America is spending, even in debt, more than it's selling overseas. Even with the dollar, people aren't. The only thing America was selling was the dollar now, and the nations don't even want that. All right, so the gross domestic product (GDP) is at 23. So that's how much you imagine that. If you had, say for instance, you had a debt and you paying out $29, but you bring in $23. All right, you bring in $23, but you pay out 29. You always gonna be in debt, man. You always gonna owe that little percentage that's left over. All right, so America can never pay that debt off. It was all a scheme from the beginning, man. Since the beginning, the establishment of the dollar, going all the way back to 1913. All right, it was all a scheme, you know. All right, because you had something called the Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944, right after, in the midst of the ending of World War II, where they established the dollar as the world currency, not just the currency for America, but the world currency. All right, and this was all part of their plan. The U.S. dollar became the official reserve currency of the world in 1944. The decision was made by a delegation from 44 allied countries called the Bretton Woods Agreement. All right, and that's what caused the demise of all these nations, man. All right, so now check this out. All right, because you had something after 2008, after they had the market crash, and they had to do bailouts. You had something called quantitative easing, and that's when the Feds started printing money out of thin air, just printing it. All right, even more. It says what? Quantitative easing, the introduction of new money into the money supply by a central bank. And that's what's destroying America, the central bank that's ran by England. All right. They sell the bonds from the Bank of England to America, to the shores, and America buys those bonds. All right. And then they transfer them to the insurance companies, and the insurance companies are supposed to push them out to the businesses, and so on and so on. And it trickles down to the people, and then the people are supposed to buy houses, buy businesses, buy so on, but that's not happening. So the money is not circulating. It's causing what? A bubble. All right, too much supply of dollars. All right, so if you create, because you had, what's his name, the Rothschilds, right, and his children, when they set up their little banking system, the banking scheme, they established it based on, like, say for instance, you had one piece of gold, 1 bar of gold, right, or a certificate for that gold. All right, one certificate for that gold, and then the next thing you know, you travel to another country to keep you from getting robbed and your money getting taken from you. He said, yeah, I got my brother set up over here in that city, Rothschild. All right, he set up over there. You can go see him, and he got gold, and you show him this certificate. But the thing is, that would be like one certificate. That's what a dollar is. It's a certificate of debt. But so if you would carry that certificate to the next city or country, if you get robbed, you got a certificate. You get what I'm saying? So, and it's in your name, a trust fund. So you go out there, and next thing you know, you go see the other Rothschild, and he tell you like, oh man, you done got here and it done lost value, or gain interest. You got to pay the interest, and the interest be more than what you originally deposited. All right, that's the way they was robbing people. And on the back end, they would get back, and there would be 2 certificates printed up. You see that? So they would. So say for instance with the Vietnam War, when the French, I think it was Italy or the French, I could be wrong. Somebody could look it up. I think it was it might have been Italy. I think it was Italy. All right, or the French. I could be wrong, man. But one of them demanded their gold back because people like Russia, everybody that bought into the whole Bretton Woods agreement, they were spending like $30, 30 ounces of gold per dollar, I think it was. All right, 30 ounces of gold per dollar. It was like a certificate for 30 ounces. All right, bullion. And now, and I could be, so now, they would buy the certificates, per dollar. Next thing you know, France was like, or Italy, whoever it was, they were saying, yo, they noticed in the Vietnam War that America was buying all kind of weapons. All right? And they were like, how are y'all buying these weapons if y'all don't have any money? So what they were doing is they were printing money. They were printing their own dollars. So you would say, hey man, I'm gonna deposit this into the account. This gold, give me a certificate. It's only supposed to be one of these certificates floating around. Next thing you know, it's like 2 or 3 of them. So so whoever that was, France or Italy, they caught on to that, and they started trying to pull their gold back from America, and then that's when you have the Nixon shock in 1971, where they said, nah, we pulling the gold away from the dollar, unpegging it from the dollar, and then they moved to backing it by oil in 1973 with the OPEC deal. So that was the establishment of the dollar and using it as a measure to rob nations and people with, man, of their resources. So it being debased, that's what it is. It's another form of debasement when you have hyperinflation, with them creating more dollars out of thin air off their printing machine, their printing press, just like they gave the power to Saudi Arabia to do. They just printing money, but it's not a true account for it. It's not backed by anything. Back then it would be a certain amount of certificates per silver, per gold. Now it's not backed by anything. So they just printing it. Measures of debt. So now let's get this real quick, man. So this is because of their quantitative easing, which they can't do anymore. They're going to say, hey, we can't do it. Hand out the candy, hand out the money anymore. And they're going to try to place the blame on something else instead of themselves when this economy crashes, man, which is already done. But let me get this. I just want to read this real fast, man. All right. So I just want to skip around and give you kind of an idea of how they use the dollar, as a manipulation tool, man. So this whole hyperinflation fiasco is all part of their agenda. That was the old world order, establishing the dollar as the world currency, fiat currency. Now they move it to a new world order to where they want to use something else, according to Revelation 13 and 16, to where they have one token of their economy or their currency, and that token is going to be the microchip, the MOTB or Bitcoin. All right, debasement. Check this out. And back during the Roman Empire, and I'm gonna get to some scriptures, but I just want to kind of open up with that, this idea of what's going on. You know, and we can go into detail on other lessons, but a debasement, right? This happened during the Roman Empire. They would call it something called coin clipping. All right, just like somebody would clip their nails, they would clip the edges of the coins off, and then sometimes they would replace it with an alloy, like a cheaper metal. All right, so that way they can pay their soldiers or their mercenaries, all right, or their elites can get paid extra. So that's what they're doing, man. They all getting rich. They become something right now. Bill Gates and them are becoming something called super billionaires or super elites. All right, so you know, so that's what they're on right now. It says this. Now it started in the Roman Empire during the time of Nero. All right, with Nero, and you had the Edomite, you know, Nero, around what was that, 64 BC, around that time, and he started something called coin clipping, and that went on all the way to the 3rd century, and that caused ultimately the demise of the financial system of the Roman Empire. All right, hyperinflation. Now it says this, debasement, all right, otherwise known as hyperinflation. You know, that's what causes it. A debasement of coinage. This was dealing with coins, but now picture it with the dollar, okay? Is the practice of lowering the intrinsic value of coins. See, it's the practice of it. They're lowering the value of the dollar. It's losing purchasing power, man. You know, it's not only that the prices are going up at the shelves, but it's that the dollar is losing the value. So the prices might stay the same, or they may go up a little bit. But that's usually you're gonna see it at the pumps, the gas pumps, or you're gonna see it at the store. You go up and you go to the store, and the price is gonna be skyrocketed, which means the dollar has lost its value. But the writing on the money is gonna stay the same. It still could be called a dollar. You know, it still be taught $20. If you look at the paper, it says $20, but it doesn't have that value anymore. So that's hyperinflation. They created too many of them, so it lost its value. A debasement of coinage is the practice of lowering the intrinsic value of coins, especially when used in connection with commodity money, such as gold or silver coins. All right, so this was a form of debasement, what they're doing right now with the QE1, QE2, QE3, quantitative easing, printing money. A coin is said to be debased if the quantity of gold, silver, copper, or nickel in the coin is reduced. All right, so in this sense, the purchasing power is being reduced by them inflating and duplicating and multiplying the creation of these dollars. All right, they're debasing the currency, man. That's why you don't see any more $500 bills. You know, certain coins, you don't see any nickel in the coin. You don't see any. They already debased it, man. They took all the bronze and the nickel out of the coins and out of the dimes, and they did that in 1970s and 60s. All right, so I'm gonna get this real quick. Check this out. All right, check this out, man. This is the same thing they're doing today, man. This is how the Roman Empire fell, part of it. In Roman currency, the value of the denarius, that was their money, the silver, was gradually decreased over time as the Roman government altered both the size and the silver content on the coin. So they were altering the, see, and watch when I get to the bottom of this, it's going to show you why they did it It'll help you see why this hyperinflation is happening right now. It's right in the midst of their great reset or the new world order. They're all becoming super rich. It says the government altered both the size and the silver content of the coin. Originally, the silver used was nearly pure, weighing about 4.5 grams. From time to time, this was reduced. During the Julio-Claudian dynasty, the denarius contained approximately 4 grams of silver and then was reduced to 3.8 grams of silver under Nero, man. So they reduced it that much. All right. Why? Man, it's crazy when you see the reason why. The denarius continued to shrink in size and purity until by the second half of the 3rd century, it was only about 2% silver and was replaced by the Argentinius, right? Now check this out, the reasons. One of the reasons a government will debase its currency, right? Hyperinflation, debase or whatever, is currency is financial gain. Whoa, so that's the reason they're doing it. They want financial gain on their part. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. All right, because the dollar is for the poor people. You know, and Esau is vacuuming those dollars in through their companies. They don't even deal with the dollar. They deal with just decimals, man. All right, and their signature. Yeah, through their corporations, man. They got many corporations, and through those corporations, they're buying up the whole world. One reason the government will debase its currency is financial gain for the sovereign. That'd be like the elites. At the expense of the citizens, meaning at the expense of the poor. That's why they're doing it, man. All right, they're debasing its currency for financial gain for the elites and the corporations, owners, and at the expense of the poor or the citizens. By reducing the silver or gold content of a coin, a government can make more coins out of a given amount of specie. So they can shave the coins, they can make more coins and help each other get rich. Inflation follows, see, and by doing so, you get inflation. So through that quantitative easing, right, they were basically getting everybody all this in those bailouts. Remember the bailouts, man? They were paying off the elites and the long-term investors. All right, they were paying them off. They paid off all of the CEOs. Remember that? All the CEOs was quitting and they all got paid off. That's where the money went. And now everybody's stuck with a depression. All right. So inflation follows, allowing the sovereign to pay off or repudiate government bonds. The elites, man. However, the purchasing power of the citizens, the poor, currency has been reduced. So, all right, so pressure from above, man, pressure from below. So they get rich, and the weight presses down on the people, the poor people, man, the people, the citizens. Reducing America into a third world country, especially as far as its currency, purchasing power. Look what's happening in Turkey right now. Their currency went to zero, and that is the product of the New World Order. They're pushing their agenda, the Great Reset. At the same time, it's like a pressure test. See whose economy is gonna fall. They were testing China. You see what happened. They test America. Now you see America's like wobbling. The Dow Jones down like 900% and all that, so on and so on. Turkey, they got clipped. Went down to zero. Everybody's economy is all these economies are going to fail just so they can do away with fiat currency. That's the focus. They want to move away from the paper money. and they want to bring in the digital form of their currency. They're not trying to get rid of the dollar. They just want to turn it into a digital form, all right, and have a certain currency for it, which will be Bitcoin on the blockchain, which will be monitored through the MOTB. All right. So yeah, man, it says here, man, inflation follows, allowing the sovereign to pay off. And it says, however, the purchasing power of the citizens' currency has been reduced. Another reason is to end a deflationary spiral. That's what they try to say. Like they was trying to stop deflation, but so they inflated everything. But whatever. All right, debasement was also the result. So that was the point, man. All right, this is Revelation 17 and 16, because they're doing this. Ooh, let me wait. Before I do that, let me do this. Yo, before I read that, check this out, man, because this is what their plan is. Debasement. All right, how does it affect an economy? Check this out. How is it going to affect this hyperinflation? How is it going to affect America? By them debasing or overprinting their currency, causing hyperinflation. It says what? Debasement lowers the intrinsic value of the coinage or the dollar, and so more coins or more dollars can be made with the same quantity of precious metal or paper of value. If done too frequently, debasement may lead to a new coin or a new currency being adopted as a standard currency. All right, so if they keep doing this, it's going to lead, they know this, man. They know it's going to lead to a new currency being adopted as a standard currency. And what's that going to be? That's going to be that MOTB, man, with blockchain, digital dollar. They even got they have the blockchain form of the dollar out already. It's called USD coin. But they're going to have something called Fed coin. It's going to be something different. All right, so I had to get it. That's Revelation 13:16. Because of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive this MOTB for medical, health, and financial. All purposes, man. All right, Revelation 17 and 16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast. You see that? The beast, it's talking about the European Union, the EU, you know, and you have the Bank of England, you have the Feds, the Federal Reserve. That's why they're in the hot seat. It was that Janet Yellen and that, I forgot the other guy's name, man. You know, the chairman of the Feds right now. The Fed chairman, Bernanke. No, not Bernanke, I forgot his name, man. All right, Bernanke was the last guy. But they're in the hot seat, and they're being questioned for overprinting the dollar when they're just puppets, man. The Rothschilds own the Feds. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. So they hate America right now. America's in the way. The Constitution, all the foundations of this place, they all fall under the old world order. They're trying to move to a new world order, and America's in the way with the Constitution and having rights and certain things that are set up here. So they got to do it. They got to shut it down. And shall make her desolate and naked. So they're causing this place to be desolate and naked, man. And shall eat her flesh. See that? They're eating the flesh of this place. The culture, the mirth of the land, the riches and the wealth that they gave to her. They dressed the whore up, and now they're snatching everything back. And burn her with fire, right? Because Europe is going to be the elites of Edom. They're going to lead the world into World War III and to destroy America. All right, so, hey, man, so that's what they're doing. But they're like, nah, we just was printing, and we do see your issue that is on the minds of the Americans. Yeah, man, it's on the minds of these Americans, man. It's on their minds. All right, Proverbs 10 and 15. That's why I call this lesson the rich man's wealth is his strong city, and the destruction of the poor is their poverty. See that? So they began them destroying America. They're ultimately going after Jakes, man, Israelites. All right, this is Proverbs 10 and 15. The rich man's wealth is his strong city. See, they built this city off the backs of Israelites, and they set up banks, all these mirages in this basically desert place called America, Babylon, you know, and they set up their banks and everything, and they get all their military, and they call it a government. They create a government. All right, so their wealth is in their strong city, America. And the destruction of the poor is their poverty, man. So the destruction of the poor, that's how they're going to be brought to their poverty, by them trying to destroy the poor. The labor of the righteous tendeth to life. See, us, the hopeful elect, are tending to life, you know. But the fruit of the wicked to sin. So everything they're doing and they're building up is towards wickedness. That's why there's two kingdoms on this being built right now. Esau trying to build a new world order, and the Lord is building up a kingdom right in the midst of the enemy. A spiritual kingdom. All right. But Esau is going to fall. They shall build, but the Lord shall throw down. All right, this is James 5 and 1. And it says, go to now, ye rich men. See, they're getting rich. That's what they all about. They all about riches and wealth and power. And they got the riches, now they want more power, man. You see that? They want to become the super rich, where they just, there's no term for it, where they own people. And even your data, you know, your body. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. So the Lord told them to start being in misery. And that's why they're getting put in the hot seat. Your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth-eaten, man. So this place, America, especially the rich in this place, their riches are corrupted. Why? Because of the debt. Even though it says $20 or $100, it doesn't have that value anymore. It's not real money. It's not backed by anything. It's called funny money. Getting people further and further away from real resources, real money, gold and silver, and land. So he says, what? Your riches are corrupted, man. This dollar. And your garments are moth-eaten. The economy is eaten apart. Why? Because basically insects are eating at it. The cankerworm, basically these nations, they're plucking away at this place. And even Europe is plucking away the flesh of this place, man. The covering. And it says the garments are moth-eaten. All right, got holes in it, in the system. Your gold and silver is cankered. It's faulty, you know, what you call fugazi. It's fake. And the rust of them shall be a witness against you, man. And the rust of it, meaning they storing up all the real riches and keeping the world in poverty. All right. And shall eat your flesh as it were fire. So that's not talking, when they say eat up the flesh in Revelation 17, it's not talking about the missiles yet. What it's talking about is consuming them. All right, the Lord going to consume those banking elites as well, because they're going to get caught red-handed with all the money in their hand, all the resources, while the whole world is in shambles and poverty. And the cries of the people of the elect of Israel are coming into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Let me get that. It says what? So that this could be a witness against them, and that they can be manifested to be the mystery of iniquity, the rich man that's going to lift up his eyes in hell. They're going into slavery. All right, so that's why the Lord gave them all the resources. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. How are we going to know who they are if they don't have the world in their hands when they get caught? Now we know. All right, we're in a time of revelation where they're being revealed. You're, all right, so now it says, and ye have heaped treasures together for the last days, right? So they can go into Job, where the Lord gonna make them vomit up all those treasures. All right, so that's why the Lord had them go that route and to create the missiles for their own demise. Show that the Lord ruleth in the kingdom of men. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, the slavery, all right, and even today, who is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, man, the Lord of armies. So our cries have entered into the Lord's ears, and that's what's messing their system up. But that's why I said, and that's why I read earlier, the destruction of the poor is their poverty. They putting pressure on Jake, just like in the time of Egypt, where the Pharaoh that came into power and put pressure on us, Pharaoh Ramses. All right, and he put pressure on our people, and then what? That's when the Lord delivered us, man. He sent Moses, and now in Yahushua, the death angel at the time, and now the Lord is sending Yahushua. All right, he heard our cries, same way. So when they put pressure and they come in rushing like a flood, the Lord gonna lift up a standard. Ultimately. Okay, so behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields. See, the destruction of the poor is their poverty. All right, it's going to bring them to ruin, which is of you kept back by fraud, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, the Lord of armies. Ye have lived in pleasures on the earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. See, that's that great reset. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doeth not resist you. So that's what they're doing. All right, I'm going to read this. Job 20 and 15. That's why it says it's a witness is going to be a witness against them. All right. Because this. It says here, Job 20 and 15. He have swallowed down riches. See, they swallowed down all the riches, man. Devouring the riches, consuming the flesh. Right? They have swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again, man. The Lord gonna make them vomit them up. Yahweh shall cast them out of his belly. All right. Out of their storehouses, man. He shall suck the poison of asps. The viper's tongue shall slay him. I'm going to go over with 16. 23, Salakia. He shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey, and the butter. That's the rich man. Esau. The elites. That which he labored for shall he restore. And you got to look at them Federal Reserve chairmen and all them, man. And their bosses overseas in Europe. They're not going to see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey and butter. Basically, they're not going to see their new world order. That which he labored for shall he restore and shall not swallow it down. So that meta, that's not going to happen. All right, this is all vanity. They're pushing their dream, but it's not going to come true. All right, they're not going to be able to complete it. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein. All right, because it's going to be a witness against him, man. And the Lord going to take it from these damn devils. Because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor. See, the oppression of the poor, the destruction of the poor is going to be their poverty. Now they're putting hell on all the citizens, and they like, but in the midst of that, you have the elect of Israel, man. So that's what they messing up. They're making their move, man, on Jake. And the Lord like, okay, I hear my people. My power and he said we're going to call him our power. And he's going to say it is my people. All right, the elect. Because he have oppressed and have forsaken the poor. Inflating the dollar. Right? Putting all these mandates in place. The lack of employment. Last one hired, first one fired for Jake. Because he had violently taken away an house which he builded not. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save that which he desired, man. They're not going to save everything that they desire. They're not going to have it. You know, the water tell you how about Shimmy, I was shy for that, man. We're witnessing it. The Lord said he's going to turn back our captivity before our eyes. And we're seeing them getting put on the hot seat. Satan divided against Satan. Esau against Esau. His kingdom is falling. You know, it's being brought low. They said it's on all the minds of these American citizens, man. Babylon. It says, come, Isaiah 47:1. Come down and sit in the dust, O daughter of Babylon, man. What's that confusion, man? Affliction. Being, you know, they don't know what the hell is going on. And it's on everybody's mind. They're getting brought low. That's why the Lord said, get your mind out of this place. Because when this place falls, people's hopes and dreams going to fall with it. Come down and sit in the dust, O daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. And why is that? All right, Habakkuk 2:6. 2:6, man. Shall not all these take up a parable against him? Talking about all these nations, and they've been plucking at this place, man, plucking the flesh off of it, you know, and putting holes in the system. People like China. Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. See, they increased it in houses that they didn't build, riches that they don't have, resources that this place really doesn't have, the American dream, and it's all a nightmare, a lie. Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, man. Piling up thick debt upon this place. Getting rich because of debt. Every dollar that's printed, every stack of money that you see somebody holding on their shoulders, acting like it's a phone and all that, that's all a measures of debt. You know, that's owed to other countries. It says, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee? All right, they're going to bite this place and eat the flesh of this place. And thou shalt be for booties unto them. That's what they mean. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee. Because of men's blood and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein, man. You see that? Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house. And that's what they did with the dollar. And they all, America was set up through the Federal Reserve. You know, and with slavery. So they've taken the evil covetousness to their house. So what? That he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil, from any danger. So they thought this was a safe haven, man, for Esau. So they try to put us on the bottom, call us 3/5 of a human being, put the whole Social Security system in place, and a new yoke of iron with the birth certificates, the money system, you know, and then help Esau get richer, give them the loans, give them the jobs, and in the best schools. And they thought that was going to be safety for them, but nah, nope. The Lord's still giving wisdom to Israel, still waking us up, making us better than Esau. All right, so now all these nations are going to rise up against it because they have lifted themselves up on high. But the scriptures say the spirit that's lifted up in them is not upright. And that's why he said Lucifer going to fall like lightning to the earth, these heathens. All right. Esau. All right, that's what the Lord telling us, man. He said what? Matthew 6:19, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth. You know, you're going to get money, you're going to get your daily bread, and money shall be used as a defense. But they're trying to take away that defense. That's why the Lord said wisdom is the best defense. They can't take that from you, you know, unless the Lord takes it from you or you hand it over. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doeth corrupt. That's why he said the rest of it is going to be a witness against them heathens. And their riches are corrupt, man. All right, it gets old, it loses value. It can be corrupt at any time. And where thieves break through and steal, man. So they stealing the value of the money. They stealing the currency. You got money in the bank, they still can steal it. It's losing value every day it's in there. It's losing value every time you spend it at the register. They take interest rates or taxes. Every time you go to a ATM, they take fractional reserve currency from taxes. That's how they getting rich, man. So the Lord said, lay not up for yourself treasures upon earth. Because you had a lot of jakes that came up to us. I got a business. We talked to some guy last week. He said, yeah, I ain't trying to be out here with y'all niggas, cause of niggas and everything. You know, like we was born. He said, I'm trying to get to a bag. See, they just started, that's that new slang, a bag. Oh yeah, that's crazy because that matches up with scriptures. You notice Jake saying that now, right? I'm trying to get to a bag, right? We know the scripture. We're going to get it too. But it says what? Don't lay up treasures for yourselves upon earth where moth and rust do corrupt and where thieves can break through and steal, man. Steal your heart away if your mind is on it. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth or rust doeth corrupt. And where thieves, Esau, cannot break through and steal. They cannot steal your inheritance, man. Your blessing. All right? In the spirit, true riches. It says, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. All right? These are the ones that's chasing that bag, you know? You're going to get money, take your daily bread. But you say, rich or poor, praise ye Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Haggai 1:6. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Everybody working hard. Look at Floyd Mayweather. Hard worker, boxing, everything. Hard work, dedication. But bringing in little. Still got to pay the mortgages off. As soon as you get $1 million mansion, now you got to keep the mansion. Then you got to keep your career up on top of that. At the same time, they devaluing the currency, messing with the currency. You know, creating debt slaves. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough, man. You never have enough in this society. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Why? Because their riches are corrupt. All right, and their doctrines. That's what's that? Romans 11:7. Israel have not found what they have looked for, but the elect have found it, man. We won't thirst anymore. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. Why? Because they got holes in it. Okay, they can't be comforted in this place. We're going to be comforted through the Spirit, through the wisdom of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. And he that earneth wages, see, you work hard, you're earning wages, your treasures, earneth wages to put into a bag with holes, into a bank that got holes in it. You know, thieves stealing from it, plucking from it. You know, into your house, you stack the money up, and it's still losing value, even if it say $100 on it. You got 200,000. Next thing you know, by the next few months, it lost so much value as a currency. And the prices go up at the shelf, you know. So we earn the money, but then you put it into a bag with holes. This system, he said it is moth eaten. All right. It says 2 Ezra 16:21. Behold, victuals, you know, food, raiment, shall be so good cheap upon earth. So everything was cheap. Everybody was loving it in this place, man. They fell for the deception. Now they call that the norm. That wasn't normal. That wasn't normal, man. You have so many societies upon this earth, and you think America is the norm. No, it's not, man. You know, righteousness is supposed to be the norm. But the way everybody was living in America, they call that the norm, man. A cesspool of sin and wickedness. You know what I mean? So behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And that's where the deception happened at. Everybody was thinking it was in good case. Everything was cool. But when they shall say peace, peace, when what? Sudden destruction shall come upon them. All right, the Lord gonna catch everybody in their safety. So they think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth. Sword is number of wars kicking off around the world, and death and killing, and famine. All right, all kind of famines around the world, and great confusion. There's so much confusion everywhere, all really because of Esau and this place Babylon. Great confusion. All right. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of the famine. They're going to be caught out there. And the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down, man. All right, so that's what we're about to see out here, man. Dead bodies laying in the street. Nobody, no ambulance or anybody to come and pick them up, either due to a pandemic or economic crash. All right, because of hyperinflation. Now you had Turkey just crash, and they got people out in the streets protesting. Hey, we have no purchasing power. It's at 0%. Now look, America following right behind them. All right, I'm gonna end with this, man, because Ecclesiastes 7:12. For wisdom is a defense. All right, so that's our defense right there, man. Period. He said you cannot serve God and mammon, but you're going to use money. What it says, and money is a defense. Why? Because you can pay your bills with it. But they're trying to take away that defense. They're taking that away. They're not trying. They're taking that away. Money groweth wings and fly away. It says that. So you lose that defense. And it becomes moth-eaten and corrupted. But the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. So we still have our defense, you know. So with that, man, I'm gonna end it there, man. Hope you're edified, because this hyperinflation is gonna kick up. You know, look up the Weimar Republic, where you had bread that was $1 million, or Zimbabwe, and you had people out in the streets panning for gold. All right, you should get you one of those. Get you a pan too, where you can sift for some gold if need be. But those that turn to Yahweh Shem Yahushua, we have our defense. Our defense is what? To the Lord of the Lord. He said, I'm gonna get this. All right, so he's our defense. Psalms 18:2. Yahweh by Shem Yahushua is my rock and my fortress. See that? Not in what Esau's building. You know that the rich man's wealth is in his strong city. His strength is in his city. But what? The destruction of the poor is their poverty. Psalms 18:2. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is my rock and my salvation, my fortress and my deliverer. All right, he gonna deliver us. Yahweh's gonna deliver us through Yahushua. All right, my power is like my God. See, Jake's trust in money. In God they trust, right? They trust in the dollar. But what? Yahweh is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer and my God. My strength, see that's our strength, in whom I will trust. My buckler and the horn of my salvation and my high tower. Whoo! I will call upon the name of Yahweh, who is worthy to be praised, so shall I be saved from my enemies.